Hello, Quackin' Smite League. My name is Bonzaijoe, here with another episode of the Quackin' Smite League Update Podcast. Here with me this week, I got Rektalplasm, I got Red Sniper, and I got TheKingCooter. All in the flesh. We got a 4-man podcast this week coming at you with tons of content. We got 7 games played during week 7. We got 6 more games coming up in week 8 after some schedule changes. We'll cover that as we go along, but we got such a good week of Smite coming up. How are you doing, guys?
Good, Joe. It's good to be back, man. I missed last week. I was upset that I wasn't able to make it, but you all did awesome. Really, it was incredible.
Thank you. We got another good podcast. Not if I could talk like that, but another good podcast
man.
coming
Words
up.
are hard.
another good podcast coming up this week. I can already tell. So, we had some fantastic games this weekend. 2 3-game sets, 3 2-0 sets, but a lot of good ones going in there. So, why don't we go ahead and get started early? During that week 7 of play, we had Gloria and Mortem versus the Kepwee Suns. 2-1, our first 3-set banger. Just absolutely fantastic play. This one was played on Sunday evening. It was our first set of the day, and then we had another mini set later in that day. But this 3-gamer went really well. Kepwee Suns took game 1, and then Gloria at Mortem fired back with games 2 and 3. What do you guys like out of Gloria at Mortem's way of coming back?
You mean Kepwee Suns coming back?
It was Gloria at Mortem that won. Sorry, I have that wrong in my show notes. Yeah, my bad.
That's okay. That reverse sweep is always a lot of fun. Big props to Gloria on getting it done.
Yeah, I do remember this game. I was watching it a little bit. Gloria at Mortem kind of fell behind in their farm game 1, and they really put it together in games 2 and 3. I believe they had a sub in game 1, and then they had their full team in for 2 and 3, and they really put it together to fulfill that reverse sweep.
Yeah,
very excellent play there.
Yeah, game 1 they had Lana out of that jungle role, which is not her main role, but a lot of people might say, oh, they had a sub, like they got someone else to play jungle game 1, but at that point I didn't even think it was only Lana's fault. I thought that other areas of Gloria at Mortem's game lacked in game 1, especially out of Atticus. He did not play game 1, but games 2 and 3, man, did he look dangerous on that Geb.
Well, that was one of the big changes that I saw from Gloria at Mortem, which was instead of going for what I would consider a soft engage with the pin from Erlang, which is what Atticus played in game 1, they went for more of a hard engage, the knock up by Geb, or the Cataclysm. And so when you have a multi CC or a multi ability god where he literally is useful both in the offense and the defense, Erlang is great for getting in your face and just kind of slapping you around a little bit, especially if you build him attack speed. But if he's not doing that, if he's not acting as that jungler or as that solo laner, if you try and build him hybrid, and this is kind of what Atticus found out, is you're not tanky enough to just go toe-to-toe with anybody, especially if the follow-up damage isn't there, and then you're not really doing enough damage to make yourself feared by the other team either, and so you're kind of stuck in that middle ground, and Atticus being stuck in that middle ground kind of got focused and then dropped a lot during game 1. He was able to remedy that, especially going on that Geb, having those abilities, having that blink, being able to get in, initiate for his team, and then you really saw it in the second and third games where Gloria at Mortem really focused on the team fight aspect. The lanes were here and there. Some of them were winning, some of them were losing, but that team fight really carried them through game 2 and 3.
Something worth noting is in both games 2 and 3, they had Rai on the Jingwei, almost impossible to kill between Jingwei's ability to get away plus Geb's awesome shields being able to keep the carries alive. What'd you guys think of Rai's more passive play on that Jingwei versus being more aggressive like Gloria Mortem usually plays out of that duo lane?
I liked it, man. I liked it. I mean, it showed a lot of versatility. Like you said, usually that duo lane with Atticus and Raya is just in your face, trying to run you down. But if you look at the other side, I mean, Telly and Gopoy are two of the more aggressive players in the league, right? So they kind of knew that going in, I think, or at least especially after game 1, and they kind of adjusted their game plan and really, I mean, they came away with the victory. So it's good for them. They did a really good job.
Absolutely. So, looking elsewhere, over in that solo lane, we saw Liam Naughty Bear bring out the Kumba solo both games 1 and 2. What'd you guys think? I mean, the thing was almost unkillable, but early game suffered in pressure versus something like the Kukulin that we saw in game 1 from Omega Bulldog.
I mean, like that's kind of what Kepwee Suns likes to go to, is sort of trying to see if they can push through a game and pull it through into mid game and late game. They lose a lot of. They try and see if they can win a game from early to mid to late, and if they fall behind, is what I've seen in the games they've played, because they're a very talented team. I mean, a lot of people are former champions in this league. If they fall behind, they can't play up, and that's what sort of what keeps happening, is if they lose that pressure, if they lose that solo lane, early game, they can't even control it from mid to late, even despite being unkillable.
Yeah, that's what we saw a little bit out of games 2 and 3 with Omega Bulldog on that Guan Yu playing just so well on it. It was a prioritized pick from Gloria at Mortem, and it really showed. So, with some fantastic play out of Gloria at Mortem, and I mean, we didn't mention the name of the man who came back in Jungle games 2 and 3, and I know he wants to be mentioned. Cyber played really well, especially on his main of Loki, the dirty Loki main. But Cyber came back and just played a really comfortable, really good 2 games right off the bat of coming back for games 2 and 3 without any warm up. So really great all around play by Gloria at Mortem, and it really showed. It really did show. So Gloria at Mortem takes that one 2-1 on the reverse sweep. So next game that we have on our list to talk about, Goon Squad versus All In. It was a Saturday night late night smite matchup where All In took it 2-0. We saw a little bit of roles moving around on the side of All In. I went ahead and put Enamar in ADC and Coda in the jungle in order to have myself play mid. We would have just switched mid and ADC, but Coda would rather play the jungle, and that's okay with me. So we moved some things around. Mid is something that I've been looking to improve on, and it's something that I've been practicing. I know on the cast it was mentioned that swapping roles was a little bit of BM, but it wasn't on my end. It's just something that I've been trying to practice, and I thought that using it here was a good opportunity to try to continue to practice with it. So I just wanted to say that out flat, but I thought that especially in game 1, Goon Squad was out to a quick start that was turned. Would you guys like from that start from that Goon Squad?
That's a good question, man. It's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, overall, the start didn't stand out too much to me. Just based on the team comps, they were naturally going to have a little pressure in the early game, which was going to net them a little bit of farm. But the major thing that I wanted to mention from this set was Coda playing Kumba in the jungle in the second game and playing Ares in the first game. Very interesting picks. Also, um, Sub Killer just controlling the entire solo side of the map is just the norm anymore. To be honest. So it was Goon Squad did well to do what their team comp was comprised to do, with the early farming. But it was, I feel like it was always going to come back in All In's favor, just based on the talent on All In, and also with the god selections of All In.
Speaking of god selections, something that we don't normally see out of Dotma is that Ganesh that he picked up in game one.
Mhm.
He used it to really counter that enemy squad. What'd you guys think of Jack on that elephant?
Man, he did well. He did well. Jack, again, I say it every week. Dobe is ridiculous. He is. I don't even think it's arguable anymore. I think he's the best support in the league, and I don't know if that's the fact that his ADC is playing phenomenally, or the guy who
All right, don't
played
say that.
ADC was playing. Oh, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about NMR. What do you mean?
That's true.
Just
That's
kidding.
fair.
I'm
That's
just
fair. No,
kidding.
no, that's fair.
I'm
That's
just
fair.
kidding. I'm just kidding. But no, that was a really good pickup. To be honest, I've never seen him play it. But he did play it to perfection, and it was a really, really good counter pick, for everybody on the opposing team. I mean Arthur. I mean Tsukiyomi, Morgan, the Jingwei even. It's just a really, really good pick, and something I haven't seen him do before. He with Ganesh, you kind of have to play a little further back than what he's used to. He's very, very like in your face, Sobek and things of that nature. So he did really well playing that slightly different play style. What do you guys think?
I agree, man. There's one thing he didn't get enough credit for, and it was for bestowing me basically all 3 kills and a triple kill when he dropped Dharmic Pillars in in the jungle with me near him. Man, he hit that 3-man Dharmic Pillars, and I knew that is the moment that game turned in game 1. And it was just incredible, his play on a god that you mentioned it. I've never seen him play before. So in game 2, we saw a little bit of I'll call it discoordination from All In. A little bit more aggression, a little bit more All In got the lead, and then played wrong with it, I'll say. There was a lot of one-man dives, a lot of attempting to backdoor, which eventually was successful at the end of the day, but it took almost 35-40 minutes to get there, as there was a lot of one-man diving phoenixes trying to take them, trying to split push as Achilles. Mr. Subkiller 22, I'm looking at you. But overall, I think in game 2, Goon Squad played a really good late game. They played a good defense. They played exactly to the strengths that All In was letting happen. There were a lot of dives. There were a lot of attempts to backdoor, and Goon Squad met almost every single one with a good response. There were times where they turned a one-man kill under Phoenix to 2 or 3 when they caught 2 of us in the jungle attempting to back up the one person that was pushing. They used those misplays to their advantage and showed a lot of promise. And I think if they didn't get down early, and that was a more even early game, then I think Goon Squad would have really gotten a lot more out of those late game defenses. What do you guys
no
think?
doubt. It was strange to see, honestly. I mean, All In has seemed like, along with Dharmic, has seemed absolutely infallible. for most of the season. So seeing that at the end of the game, it just goes to show. I mean, anybody on any given day can have the opportunity to beat any one of these teams in this league, regardless of how talented the team is. Everybody has an off day, and unfortunately, like you said, they just weren't in any position to really take advantage of those misplays. Um, but if that misplay happened, maybe in a slightly different scenario, that's a win for Goon Squad.
Yeah, I tell you what, game two, I believe it was either Ori or Boomhev in the jungle, um, went like 12-7 on that Thanatos. It was good.
Mhm.
Ori went 11-6-10.
11, yeah, Ori, man, good player, really good player, and really shined in game two there. I thought that he was a really a diamond in the rough, so to speak, in this set.
I mean, game two really was a game of executes because you had the execute on the Thanatos, and he went 11-6-10, and then Subkiller with the execute on the Achilles went 11-5-4. But I was actually masters on that game, and I think I made mention in the second game. I looked around and went, "This is like I'm watching a ranked game. Throw 5 people in here and just let them go nuts. We've got a Nike support. We've got Coda on a Kumba.
I forgot
You
that
were
I let
playing you were playing Afro mid.
I was, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. And then NMR went Uller ADC into the Jablonke, and I went, okay, this is going to be interesting. I wanted to watch NMR a little bit more because I wanted to see how aggressive he was going to get. I don't think he missed an axe until like 12 minutes in, because
Yeah.
he was just chucking those things and getting the stuns. I mean, Boomhev ended up 6, 7, and 13, but I mean, they all had double-digit assists on Goon Squad, and that's because that team fight, when they started really trying to push things together, it was working a little bit, because you guys, again, going back to that, this looks like a ranked game. Why is NMR diving by himself, getting caught out in the left side? Why is Dupma just kind of pushing things? What is going on here?
Yeah, we
I
did.
mean, I think Koda was probably the safest among you, because if he was getting caught out, he could literally mez somebody, then root them, and then belly bump them away, and then just dash away. It's like, yeah, I'm adios.
Yeah. Yeah, that Nike support is something that we've only seen from Dotme in prospect games and thus of the like. He has not played it in an actual set until this week. He is a noted Nike support one trick before joining the Quack and Smite League. Dude, that man in season 1 prospect games, I would ban his Nike every game because I faced it one time in a game 1 of a prospect set. Never again in my life, please. God no. God no. All right.
I just got to mess with him once tonight and go, so how you doing, dude, ma?
Dude, man. He hates it. He hates it. All right.
But
Well,
honestly,
hey,
go ahead.
I was gonna move along, but if you have another point, go ahead.
Last thing,
Jack.
if I'm Goon Squad there, I mean that the game 2 team that we saw, with Ori in the jungle, Chevy in the mid, Boomhev in ADC, Neptune in support, and Simple Fate in the solo lane, I think that's definitely that's the best they've looked so far, is those players in those positions. So if I'm them,
Agreed.
I'm definitely running that moving forward, because honestly, I've seen them move around a lot of people a lot of times. So I think moving into the playoffs, I think they're looking for something a little more stagnant, and that's what I would do if I were them.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Especially Simple Fate on that Chang'e was just devastating in the solo lane. Especially getting the immunities. He knows how to play that Chang'e very, very well in the solo lane.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So moving along, we have the Cthulhu Moons versus the Dharmic Killers. So, oh, I already heard the ugh. I already heard the ugh.
I was on the cast for that.
Yeah, we got a caster and we got a player. So, Jeremy and Nick, you guys want to walk us through this?
Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, rough time that was game 1 and game 2. I was halfway through for game 1 and full for game 2, but welcome to Davies, an SEC jungler.
Yeah.
In your jungle, for one thing, uh, that's just a little bit tough to deal with. And on top of that, you have formed a new team out
Mhm.
of an old team,
And this is your
and
first
you're
game.
trying. Yeah, that is your first game. What are you supposed to do against someone? At least one player who is an SEC player for Smite. It's just an unfortunate circumstance. Whenever I was looking for that, I was trying to look for like bright points in that team. Obviously I like Charles because Charles I play a lot with him, and he plays a good soul lane, and he played okay in that Sun. Um, it it was just entirely difficult to play against that jungle, just stripping their farm. Anytime Davies got an advantage, he took it to the fullest, taking that solo farm. If he got a kill on the Charles, all of it was gone. All of the back camps, the blue, the yellow, even gone. Just entirely difficult to play against.
Yeah, just incredible what pressure he has out of that jungle, knowing it, and just not only the pressure, but just the knowledge. He knows timers. He will get there, and he will be there and on without a doubt. But yeah, it just, I mean, not even just to call it the Davies show, but like pretty much all of Dharmic played well. I mean, you saw, I believe, Senpai Pikachu was playing in this game as ADC, subbing in for Raptor.exe, but also a good player. And I mean, Destiny out of the solo lane, Cruz out of mid. I'm already mad out of support. Just good all around squad. And I mean, we talked about them time and time again. This team is still 6-0. This team is still undefeated. Let's remember that. They go into their matchup against Phenoms next week. Phenoms playing, well, we'll get to that with the scheduling changes, but Dharmic's still 6-0 on the season. This is a team to continue to watch. Every single player on that team is doing their job and doing it well. Cooter, you want to walk us through the in-game aspect of this one?
Oh man, don't get me wrong. Like I respect Armic a lot, and they are absolutely all phenomenal players and phenomenal people. But that first game was 100% Davies. There was a moment in that game where you look at the player damage, and Davies had more player damage than the rest of the game combined. It was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. There was absolutely nothing that we could do because we let him get out of control too fast. Like you said, he was constantly on the back camps and on the speed and on the blue. So he himself did the sub killer thing, and he absolutely shut down the jungle and the solo, and he was still having an impact in mid. The duo lane was the only place where he wasn't really going. And Senpai, I guess we can add Senpai in a little bit. Senpai had that warded perfectly. There was absolutely no ganks that could come through that he didn't see coming. So we could not get an advantage anywhere on the map. There was one point in time where we saw that Davies was on back camps, and the rest of the team was pushing the duo lane. So the five of us, I want to say that again. The five of us decided maybe we can go kill this Tsukiyomi.
Oh no.
He
Yeah.
killed four of us. One person got out, but he killed
Oh.
four of us with a full health bar.
I do remember that. That was an unfortunate experience right there, game 1.
Uh-huh. And it speaks
Just
to two different
unbelievable.
aspects. It speaks to two different aspects. I mean, really, we haven't been together long enough to really form enough synergy to chain our CC appropriately where that actually may have been a kill. Our CC was kind of staggered,
Mhm.
and we were too far behind to begin with. But um, and just the fact that, like you said, he's SEC jungler. He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. But moving forward, speaking for my own team, I mean, Austin's a great player. Yellowjin's a great player. DK is super underrated. Pokemon is trying his best to pick up ADC, but he's a natural mid laner who has the positioning of a jungler. So it's it's tough. It's tough. We'll get it working and we'll move forward. We'll be okay.
Pokemon is a mechanically very good player.
Oh,
I like
ridiculous.
Pokemon. He is a fantastic player.
Dude, he's so good. Mechanically, I would put him up there with anybody in the league. He just he's not comfortable in ADC yet, and it is what it is. He says he's a mid laner, and I really can't move Austin out of that mid lane. He's a really good hub for our team.
Although
So,
on It's the Resistance, when it was still that team name, Austin did play pretty well out of that duo lane, but I think I trust Pokemon more in ADC, personally.
No doubt. Austin does well in ADC. He's not comfortable over there. He doesn't like playing over there as there's not enough action. It's just wave, purple camp, wave, purple. It's just boring. He doesn't really like to do it, so I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. I'm really looking forward to Pokemon though, out of like the end of the season and into the next, because he is a very exciting player who can really go anywhere if he really chooses to, coming into the next season.
I'm excited to lane against him this weekend. Well, this weekend, as in like whenever we play. We still haven't scheduled that game yet, but yeah.
No, he's very exciting to look at. I love. I mean, I played against the Cthulhu Moons in a scrim, and I loved playing against him, even though he was ADC, I was jungle. Fantastic player.
All right, so without ado, we'll go ahead and move on from that 2-0 dynamic win over the Cthulhu Moons. Next up, we go down to the mini league on Friday. We had a matchup. It was the first matchup of week 7. Olive Garden versus Team Enemy God. Another 3-setter. Olive Garden taking it 2-1 over Team Enemy God. Looked close. Looked just like a really good really good set of games rather, the whole entire way. Wow, I can't talk tonight. But Olive Garden coming out with that victory. What did you guys think of this of this big matchup that we had out of the mini league?
I remember it. It was very fun. Game 2, Arc went so off. It was unbelievable. I think that's probably the best game I've seen him play or played with him. Just a fantastic game to see the ADC Arc, the Seal Man, Chonky Seal, play. But the whole set was just back and forth. All 3 games. Just you couldn't figure out who was going to come out of that. That was one of the funnest sets I've been able to be on to cast.
Yeah, man. Everyone on both sides just looked really good. Just the team fights were there, man. Like mini league teams, you don't expect it to be there, but the team fights were there. Jerry, you want to walk us through that late game?
Oh man, I mean, these games, when it comes to them, like there were a couple misplays here and there where someone could have gotten a kill, couldn't have gotten an advantage. They could have gotten a buff. They could have gotten, I believe, a Fury here at one point, or they could have gone back to Fire Giant. When it comes to mini league play, you expect to see some sort of miscues here and there, and each side had an equal amount of them, and it really came down to who was able to play out of the miscues better. I wouldn't really say out of the team fights per se. It just really came down to at the end the shot callers, and that's sort of what we decided on who was the MVP of the set. Me and I believe it was Link who was on the camera.
Yes.
Just who was the better shot caller of that set among Olive Garden, because they were the ones who were actually able to make the choices to go on to the Phoenixes to end the game. Just very, very difficult, hard, gritty sets to go through. Games, rather, in the full set.
Shot calling is definitely the one thing out of the minor league that you wouldn't expect to see pop off like that. But on both sides, it was done really well. The macro plays were really there. And I think going forward, both of these teams, what you want to look around is those objectives. I think both of these teams are really objective-driven teams who know where to go at what times. And I think pushing toward the objectives, pushing toward Towers, Phoenix play, attack and defense, both sides of the game, huge into these teams.
And I think the scoreline really says a lot about it. I mean, these teams, especially Game 3, was very, very close. I mean, it could have gone one way or the other several times. Really, Olive Garden came out on top because they just simply coordinated better. In Emmy, I mean, both of the teams were very evenly matched, and I thought that, and I think that's sort of what the scoreline says. And if you go back and watch the tape, honestly, you could see great boxing back and forth, pushing in, this lane and that lane, the ganks coming in. And yes, it's mini league. There are definitely miscues. There are definitely plays where you kind of scratch your head and you're going, okay, I see what you were trying to do there, but what, like, the execution wasn't quite there, or they had a good idea, it just didn't they didn't follow through in the right way. But um honestly, I thought it was a great set between those two teams.
Absolutely.
Really entertaining.
All right. So our last set of the week got a couple of players here for Team Panic Room versus Team Enomarmy. We got 2 players and a caster on this call for that one. So a lot of involvement in this game. Team Enomarmy took a 2-0 victory over the Panic Room. Jeremy, Josh, either of you want to walk us through it first?
Jeremy, be my guest.
Okay. So all of these games, whether it went to 3 or not, our idea was to experiment with a couple comps that we wanted to. So the double XE, other minor league teams have noted as kind of what we wanted to do. So we tried it for games 1 and 2. Game 1, it worked fairly well, at least out of the jungle. Ao Kwong, I think, went 1 and 3 and something at the end of the game. I was able to get a 7-3 /line, something like that. But our goal was to just see how well Enomarmy was able to hold up against an XE comp. That was sort of our idea, because we knew Scarab is a fantastic player, and we just wanted to test his bounds, really. Going into both of those matches. If it went to 3, we were prepared for it, but unfortunately only went 2. So we tested into those, and unfortunately Enomarmy went the full gamut, sweeping us. But
yeah,
I think we played well.
Yeah,
it just didn't translate to really a game result.
Yeah, I think especially game 1, Jeremy, you especially were off to that 5-0 start. on that Thanatos. You had some really good ganks, really good early pressure, both out of mid and duo. But I think the issue in especially game one was out of the duo lane. As soon as Scarabax bought that energy of or talisman of energy on Mulan, it really just hard countered that Ao Kuang and made it so that he did
Solo lane.
yeah, solo lane. Sorry, it made him do almost virtually no damage going forward. Scarab really dangerous on this Mulan. Game one, you saw him really shut down the Ao Kuang just by making him do no damage, and then game two, really pushing the lead into team fights. Do you think this Mulan is something that we see banned against Enemy Army soon?
Absolutely. I would not go with Scarab against anything in the solo lane. Honestly, I would ban him out most times and deal with the rest of the team. Maybe ban out Tubby like one in the top three. Because my God, does he play so well? And Milan, he plays so well on. Game we were able to play okay against. Game two was truly, truly a Scarab diff. And there is no way I can describe that game other than I fail to describe it anything else, really. I remember it. I try. I've looked at the video.
Yeah,
and that's what I come to.
It was incredible, but
I want to hear Cooter's perspective since he left.
It was something,
Honestly.
man. It was something. I mean, just looking at the end of the game, I always look up at the player damage numbers just to see what it looks like. Scarabax was at 25,000 player damage. Your entire team was at 26.
Yeah.
So it truly was. I mean, you said it exactly. It was truly Scarabax, and don't slight Tubby at all. I mean, Tubby did a really, really good job on that Nua. I mean, Nua gets the, in essence, passive damage. You press 4, you get 1,000 damage. But he was right behind Scarabax as well with 23,000. I think between the two teams, I think that NM Army is one of the top mini league teams.
Mhm.
I don't really see a real weakness in that on that roster. I think it's a very, very good roster, and I think it's a roster that could potentially compete with some of the major league teams as well. Then I look at the other
Absolutely.
side. I look at Panic Room, and I see a couple people maybe playing that are fairly new to the game. And again, this isn't a slight on them at all. I'm so happy that they're playing in the league, and they're wanting to get better at the game and play with their friends and have a good time in a competitive setting. Um, and you've seen already. You've seen Catgirl Chipotle get so much better than in the prospect games. You see Lana getting so much better than what she was in the prospect games, and you see, Charles is playing out of position. Yellowgen's playing out of position a little bit, but um, those two teams kind of did have a big difference between the two. But a lot of that comes from Scarabax there. I think you hit it right on the head.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, you mentioned Lana and Catgirl Chipotle. Lana played with a confidence that I don't think I've ever seen from her before. She was on that Donza game one. She was ulting in. She was taking fights. Sometimes she didn't win those fights, but at the end of the day, it is kind of a mental diff of confidence that we never saw in those prospect games. It was
Hmm.
something that is new to some of these players and is just incredible to see.
No doubt, no doubt. I mean, our friend Red Sniper here punished her a couple times for it, but at
Yeah.
least she's there. At least she's making the effort to make the correct play. It's just not quite there yet, but she's definitely getting there. It's so good to see. I'm so happy about it.
Speaking of our friend
Absolutely.
Red Sniper, what a fantastic couple of games he played.
Uh huh.
Josh, you want to walk us through them?
Well, game one was certainly a surprise because the only times I had ever played against Lana before was in prospects and then in a couple of scrims. And every single time I was expecting a Neith or an Artemis, something she's,
Hmm.
comfortable on because that's what I've seen her on. And all of a sudden they go, well, we're going to pick a Donzaburo into you. And I'm going, wait a second, what? You know, I'm expecting comfort, not a Donza down my face. And um, Donzaburo's great ability is that he can get very good early game pressure, and Lana played with that early game pressure very effectively. Um, Thankfully, I was playing on a Cupid. I was a little bit more safe. I was able to take some fights here and there, um, and I was able to punish at times. But um, I'm, I mean, Cupid's not my best god, but it's someone I'm getting familiar with, and I was kind of surprised. She surprised me in game one. She really did. And by the way, Mr. Cooter down there, you there is a very big glaring weakness. Do you not remember that I am the liability, sir? I am the
Hey,
liability.
you always point back to your name, the liability, but in that game, you did not look like a liability.
No, no,
I
definitely.
mean,
No.
in game one, I played the team fight. I did what I needed to do to allow my team to win. That's what I did. Um, Game two, on the other hand, I was actually quite disappointed in myself. Um, I went onto a Heimdall into a Cupid because both the Donza and the Apollo were taken off the table. Um, so I said, you know what, just give me a Heimdall. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, Sphinx went into his classic Cabrakan and went 6-0-5 on the Cabrakan.
Dude, that was nutty.
Yeah, and then of course Tubby has to go on the Nuwa because he wants to damage race with freaking Scarabax because, hey, let's Nuwa alt every time it comes off a cooldown because yeah, that's a good idea.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
but I ended up with, less than 8k player damage. I ended up actually 1,000 less than Lana. So just looking at that, getting involved in team fights, that kind of thing, I was only involved in 5 kills or five either kills or assists total in that second game. So I was kind of disappointed in that I was not being as involved as I should have been.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, I wanted I realize I'm trying to get better at my role. That's one of the things I love about the mini league is that the entirety of it is based upon us getting better to be better players at Smite. That's the
Mm-mm.
primary goal. Yes, a
Mhm.
win is nice, but the primary goal is, you know, us getting better.
Yeah,
And
as individuals, and I
yeah,
think that you and Lana make a good foil to each other. Is what I was getting at. Not that either of you are better or worse than the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's a comparable chance, and both of you played very well against each other. Better than you guys did in the prospects. More to say. So
no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's I have seen a lot of growth out of Lana in the last couple of games, especially, and kudos to her for what she's been able to accomplish on this.
if she were here, she would say the same thing. I'm sure.
I I just
I think you've grown a lot well. I mean, I wouldn't
well,
laugh at that.
I
I'm
mean,
not
it's
kidding.
real.
I know I'm very critical of myself, but it's a way for me to kind of attempt to refocus because I don't want to get to the point where there's nothing left to learn because there's always something left to learn and that's
Mm.
where I want to be. I want to be constantly learning more. Um and so going forward, I hope that I mean we've got Olive Garden coming up next, which is a big one for us. And I'm not going to be able to be there. So wink wink nudge nudge if anyone from Olive Garden is listening, you guys get to face a substitute carry. So have fun. Um but yeah, Cooter. Um,
That's the point of the mini league though. The mini league has done so much for those players who are like, new to Smite in general, or even new to competitive play. So I'm extremely happy that the league has that, and they have, players and people who can coach effectively, to make those players better and get them in a competitive environment, so they're not just, getting run over by, people who are in essence their coach. So I love it. I love it. There's nothing more in this game I love more than learning and getting better. It's
And
it's amazing.
you mentioned that it's a lot of new players or new players to competitive, and that's one thing that I wanted to emphasize when we retooled it and allowed some players who have been in competitive before to play, is that you see a lot of people in new roles. It's still about learning. You see the Yellowjin learning support. You see
Mhm.
Scarebax learning solo. I mean, even though Scarebax kicks some ass in solo. He was a self-proclaimed worst role solo when I enrolled him in the mini league. So, still we see this growth out of a lot of players that is just so cool to see out of the mini league, and I love to see it going forward as well.
Mhm.
So,
and I'm really looking forward, and I'm a little, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I'm really looking forward to the next week's game because this is the battle for first place for the mini league. So
yes, 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 yes. Which we will get to now. Good transition. Thank you very much,
Bingo.
Red Sniper. We're hitting the 46-minute mark. God, we are
Okay.
so bad at talking long, but that's fine. That's fine. We're having a good time, and we got
there's a lot to talk about.
there's a lot to talk about. A lot of just really good Smite. You guys just play good Smite. Stop playing good Smite. No, don't stop, please. Anyways,
Again, watch my games.
anyways, we got some
Time
good.
decrease down to 0.
We got some good Smite coming up
Tick, tick,
too.
tick, tick.
So first things we wanted to talk about before getting into our Week 8 preview is a couple schedule changes. I'm going to go through these real quick. The Week 7 matchup between Phenoms and Boone Gang has been moved to Week 8. That has been scheduled for Friday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Phenoms versus Boone Gang, the Week 7 matchup, but not actually during Week 7. The other schedule change we have is Team Enemy God versus Team Panic Room has been moved from Week 8 to Week 9. So we will have a rescheduling there. So still a 6 matchup Week 8, even though a couple of teams had their games moved. So first off with our Week 8 preview, let's just go through the 3 games that have been scheduled so far. Let's start off with this Thursday night matchup, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. We have Boone Gang versus Gloria at Mortem. Now, this is a really good battle. I noted last week that the big battle would be between Gloria at Mortem and Kepwee Sons, and I think seeing this number 2 team against this number 2 team in the Oni division face off against the number 3 team in the Primal division is going to be another just banger of a set. You got some really good players going up against each other. Especially out of that dueling. Come on. Rye versus Chino Del Rey. Come on. Tell me you're not excited. I dare you. You're lying. Come on. That's such a good matchup. Come on. Anyways, we got a good game here. What do you guys think about it? What are you guys expecting?
I'm with you, Joe. I'm with you. I think Rai versus Chino. Have you guys ever seen the MMA or the boxing drill where you put your foot in the tire and you got to trade punches from with your foot inside the tire? That's
Yeah.
exactly what we're gonna see out of the carry roll in that game. It's gonna be amazing, amazing, man.
Oh, I'm so excited for this matchup. I mean, it it has so much potential to be just an absolute boxing match. I mean, not just in terms of the carry, but like both these teams competing for their spots in terms of the whole major league. It's gonna be so fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't compose
mean,
my words.
the Boonie Gang is at 3-2. They're right behind All In at 5-1. So this gets them that step closer. But Gloria at Mortem is right behind Phenoms too, and I mean Cthulhu Moons has a chance of getting close to him in the next couple weeks. So I mean, nobody's really set into their positions in playoffs, but I mean, a couple of slips here, a couple of slips there, and you can see some changing in the playoff seedings.
Yeah, pretty much every team in both divisions really fighting for their lives right now. I mean, not really the lives because everyone's going to be making playoffs, but at the same time, you don't want to be falling down to those lower seeds. Those lower seeds have to play more with the ladder style playoffs that we have coming up, which I don't believe we talked about on the podcast yet or announced in the Discord. But the lower seed you are, the more games you're going to have to play. So, and I mean that's just true with a lot of brackets. So you don't want to be left down in those lower seeds. So these teams are gonna keep fighting, and both of them have things to lose if they lose. So both of them are going to be at the top of their game. So moving along, we got another good matchup. This is the rescheduled matchup between Phenoms and Boone Gang. I already noted that it is going to be rescheduled for Friday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Red Sniper and I already touched on this matchup during the last episode of the QSL Update podcast, so we're not going to go over it again. But if you guys want to know our thoughts on that, go ahead and tune back into last week's podcast. So moving along as well, we have the only mini league matchup this week: the Army of NMR's Barmy Army versus Olive Garden, Monday night at 5 p.m. Eastern. You're going to have myself on that cast, so tune in. It's going to be a good time. But Red Sniper, you're going to be in that game, so tune in. It's going to be a good time. Battle of first place in the mini league.
Yeah, I'm actually really upset. I'm not, as of right
now. Oh,
now.
That's true.
Unless,
you did say that. I'm totally.
Yeah, unless there's a change, I'm actually scheduled to work. So, unless there is a change, unless I'm a referee, so if the game gets canceled, I might show up. But
so
barring
maybe
that,
if there's some rain, maybe hope it rains on Monday, and we'll get to see some Red Sniper 23 in action. But
this week we actually had that dreaded 4-letter S word hit the ground too, and so I was not happy about that. But no, this one is going to be an absolute banger. I am looking forward to this one. I actually would see this, and I know we're technically not supposed to predict our own games, but I'm not going to pick a winner. I'm just going to say I would not be surprised if this goes 3 games.
Hey,
not surprised at all.
I never said you can't predict your own games. It's just that I don't, because I think it's bad luck.
Well, I don't either. I'm just saying I could see this one going 3 games, because this one is a lot closer than what people think. I've heard some rumblings here and there of like, oh yeah, it's gonna be this, or oh yeah, it's gonna be that. No, I think this one is gonna be a lot of fun to watch. I really do. And sadly, I'll be there cheering people on if I've got to work. I'll be there cheering people on at the beginning. But yeah, I wish I could play in this one. I really do.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. As I noted, battle for first place in the mini league. Both teams 2-0 so far. Olive Garden dropped 1 game to Team Enemy God during last week's set, but otherwise 4-0 versus 4-1 for their game records. Just both really good teams looking to continue their dominance and really fight for that number 1 seed out of that mini league to get the better matchup in the playoffs. It's gonna be just so good. So one matchup that I want to see out of this mid lane: Tubby Follower 43 versus Pandarex 24. This is gonna be a good one, man. I don't know what to expect out of it. Pandarex has been, well, we'll have to go over the team up bug, make sure that's still there. Gotta get that figured out before the weekend. But
yeah, really.
But I mean, both players have been playing so solidly out of mid lane. I can't wait to see where both of them land, and it's just so notable that both teams have looked solid in a lot of different roles and a lot of different places, and it's gonna be a good one no matter what lane you pick up.
Yeah, I'm just kind of hoping Arc doesn't run wild. That's all I'm kind of hoping.
All right, so moving along to the 3 games that have not yet been scheduled, let's talk a little bit about a huge matchup. Number 1 seed versus number 1 seed. Dharmic Killers versus Phenoms. This is what we've been waiting for. A lot of people hyped up the All-In versus Phenoms matchup, but I kind of think that this one is gonna be even better. Dharmic Killers versus the Phenoms. Both teams primed and ready for action during this week 8 set. What do you guys think is gonna come out of it?
Man.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolute chaos.
If you're looking across the board, right? You're looking at, lane matchups and looking to see where one team might have an advantage, right? You look at the I just blanked. Holy cow. Come back to me. Come back to me.
No.
Oh,
I
Jeremy,
mean, look at that
cover us.
matchup. Like DK versus Phenoms. I mean, you're looking at 2 all-star matchups. I mean, oh God, I actually have to look up the rosters here too. Do we have them?
Yeah, I mean, well, I can just go through them. You'll have, I don't know what roles Phenoms will be playing because Skeet has mentioned before that, we've known most of the season Phenoms have been playing in their off roles, but Skeet has noticed that with DK playing Davies in his main role, I think we're gonna see a lot of main rollers coming off of the side of the Phenoms. I think we're gonna see Brownside in his main role of support. I think we're gonna see Duck in ADC. I think we're gonna see Vacus possibly playing jungle, maybe. I'm not quite sure what we'll have in the rest of it, but the duo lane matchup is going to be big. Cruz versus Skeet out of mid lane. I think it might be Vacus versus Davies in the jungle, or it might be dual peg leg versus Davies in the jungle. I don't know. I think they might need a sub, or that might be for the Boonie Gang set. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with Phenoms' lineup, but if it's Vacus in the jungle versus Davies, that's gonna be crazy. If it's Vacus in solo versus Destiny, that's gonna be crazy. It's so many good matchups in so many different lanes. I can't even begin to talk about it.
I would say probably the difference in this game comes out of the mid 3. I mean, just look at that combination.
Yeah, dude, Cruz. I'm already mad at Davies versus what might be Skeet, Brownside and Vacus, or Skeet, Brownside and dual peg leg, either or. Still such great matchups.
Yeah, and honestly, this is actually the toughest part of Dharmic's schedule too. This is sort of the last week they kind of got the warm up with Cthulhu Moons, and then right after that, now you're tossing them into the fire against Phenoms, and then next week they get all in. So it's the big 3, so to speak, are playing against each other in the next couple weeks, and so I mean, Dharmic still has to drop a game or still has to drop a set. I mean, that's the big question is, are they going to drop a set? I mean, as of right now, they're 6-0. They've only lost 4 games all season. Now, there's only 2 other teams that have lost less games. One is 5-1 all in at 11-3, and the other one is Phenoms at 8-2, and their record is 4-1 currently. So Phenoms has only lost 2 games total, and Dharmic's only lost 4 games total. So, I mean, this is, and again, going to matchups, going to meta play, going into anything and everything about this game, it just screams a season 2 can't miss.
Yeah, it's just gonna be incredible. I can't even begin to talk about how well the team play is gonna be too. I mean, I'm already mad, especially on gods like her Ganesh or her Geb have just been so good at engagements, have been so good during team fights. It's just gonna be so good. I can't wait to see how well everyone on that team plays together.
That's what I was gonna say. So in essence, this set is the tale of two different play styles. You have the phenoms, and they love to get picks in the lane. They thrive on getting those and running the game based off of that. Dharmic runs the opposite, or at least they have until last week. They run the opposite. They don't really do a ton in the laning phase, but the second that they get into that team fight, they absolutely run the show. So I just wonder which one's gonna be better. Which one's gonna be better there?
I know early on in the update podcasts we talked about the Kepwee Suns being one of the best team fighting teams in the league, which I still agree with, by the way. But Dharmic Killers has to have taken the cake by this point in the season with you guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's right now. I think it's Dharmic in terms of team fight. I think it's Dharmic 1, All In 2, Kepwee 3.
All right, so you can't miss Phenoms versus Dharmic. Watch it this week. It's going to be so good. But moving along to our second to last matchup that we have this week, we have All In versus the Cthulhu Moons. Cooter, it's our matchup, you and me, baby. Cooter, what are you looking forward to in this game?
I'm looking forward to getting my team some more experience together. Maybe getting more than one kill in game 1. That would be good. maybe not letting one guy run the entire show. No, it's gonna be a fun matchup. I mean, playing All In, they're all super super nice guys. So I hope they take it a little easy on us, and maybe we can take a game off of them.
Hey, new meta for first game since the Gilgamesh release, and them absolutely just making some items bonkers. Maybe something new will happen this week. But I mean that goes for all sets. Let's be real. But
Yeah.
But no, I think it's gonna be a good matchup. I think that you guys on Cthulhu Moons have the kind of team fighting early in the season. I talked about how Kepwee Suns have a lot of synergy together. A lot of them are friends, love playing with each other. I can just say the same as Cthulhu Moons. I mean, you guys, you're friends with the Kepwee Suns, and it's obvious with the name choice. But at the same time, it really shows that you guys really are a kind of second version of the Kepwee Suns, where you guys are all good friends. You guys all play well together. You have fun playing. If anyone has tuned in to Cooter's streams recently, you know just how much fun they have with each other. So it's like it's so much of a different kind of aspect that we see in competitive, having those guys together, having some fun with each other. And sometimes that synergy can really turn into some results. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of results they might produce this week in their games against All In. So it'll be a fun one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Also note that a lot of those came from the Panic Room.
Two players, right?
DK and
Two
Yellowgen,
players,
yeah. DK and Yellowgen. And then after Achilles was made a part-time sub, he was also picked up by Panic Room. So hey, Panic Room alumnus. So they work together.
No doubt.
Moving on to our last matchup of the week, Kepwee Suns versus Goon Squad. Goon, this is the battle. Well, we had the battle of the number 1 seeds in each division, and now we have the battle of the number 4 seeds. Both teams have been struggling as of late. Kepwee Suns walked into that matchup versus Gloria and Mortem really wanting to take it and prove what they have, and what they are capable of. And I thought they really showed it game 1, but I know for a fact that they were disappointed with their games 2 and 3. Do you think they come out with some fire here against Goon Squad this weekend?
You'd hope so.
If I had a guess, Joe, I would guess that they do the normal Kepwee Suns thing and they come out of left field with something that you have no idea what they're thinking, but they've practiced it over and over again and they probably make it work. It's gonna be a lot of fun. The Kepwee Suns are fun to watch. Um, if for nothing else, they make every game interesting.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I know that really both of them are looking for some wins. It's I mean, Goon Squad still winless on the year. On the season rather. Kepwee Suns, their last win was against It's the Resistance a couple weeks ago. So they're really looking to rebound. Might be looking for some strats. Do you think they pull off something akin to that Giannis Horus that we saw against It's the Resistance a couple weeks ago?
Maybe if that's what they're feeling. After talking to them after that game, um, that wasn't something that they really talked about in picks and bans. It's something that they decided in the game. Hey, we have minions pushing on the other Phoenix. Let's go over there. And then partway through taking that Phoenix, they said, "Hey, I have this. We can go back over there." And they just did it. It wasn't something that was really set up. It's incredible. It's incredible. But you got to keep an eye on Kepwee Suns. They're one of the teams that have taken, they've taken games off of All In. They've taken games off of Dharmic. So they have the potential
They've taken a
to
game.
really take.
They took a game off of. Well, okay, they didn't take a game off of Boone in week 1, but I feel like they could have. They very well could have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I always keep forgetting because of that server crash in week 1 where they weren't able to finish that set. But yeah, I mean, Kepwee has looked close in a lot of games this season, don't you think?
I think so. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kepwee has never lost. Aside from one set, I would say, where it just you kind of scratch your head. But um, aside from one set, I don't think you could say they came in and they were completely out of the set. Like they never had a chance. Every single time that they started playing, every single time that they came in, they wanted to take a game or take a set, and they got very, very close many times. Like it was one team fight or one pick or m- you know one mispositioning, and that changed the whole thing. um I mean, Kepwee, they've got five people, I should say, that have worked well together. And ever since they added Tella, um, I really like the duo lane. I really like Goat Boy. I really like Tella working together in that duo lane. Um, Yuri's always dangerous coming out of the jungle, but they really thrive on that duo lane. And especially what Goat Boy can do with initiation and Tella and his aggressiveness through the carry lane. I'm really looking forward to this one because I want to see what Ori's going to be able to do. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. I think this one's going to be fun. I really want to see Ori and Tella play, or depending on what they do, they might throw Chevy in there too. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Because they've been messing around with their lineup. So
I mean, yeah, you talk okay. You talked about Tell the Basin. We scratched over the Gloria Mortem Kepwee Sunset on week 7, by the way, without mentioning Tell the Basin going 18-1 on Honor game 1. So let's just give a big shout out to him for that. Holy hell, that was a good game. That was a good game. Yeah.
On the topic of Kepwee Suns, I got to tell you this real quick. We just scrimmed them. The Moons just scrimmed them, and there was a point in time where Telly hit 37 autos in a row. While moving, while, casting abilities, while dodging people, 37 autos in a row.
He's a good player, man. He's a good player.
You can't beat that. That's insane. That's insane.
Incredible.
Anyway.
So,
From the Goon Squad side, I would say if they go with the lineup that they went with in Game 2 last week, I think that they could maybe end up taking a game off of the Kepwee Suns. But I think they still have a few question marks that I'm not 100% sure about, but we'll see what happens.
yeah, that's been kind of the theme with this Goon Squad team this year, or this season. I keep saying this year, but it's question marks. Yeah, like you're looking at their positioning and positions as in like who's going where, and you're like, is that going to even be the same next week? It feels like there are just question marks, and we'll see. We'll see where they end up this week, but I think some consistency is what they're really looking for.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we did it. We covered every game. We covered every game. Oh, so
that's what I'm talking about.
Hey, yeah. So, hey, that is going to be it for our Quackin' Smite League update podcast. Thank you for joining us for yet another week of great Smite, great talking about Smite. We're just going to go ahead and wrap it up here. It's been just another great week of Smite, and we got a lot more coming your way. This is the last week of non-conference play before we get back into those divisional rounds of playing only the teams in their divisions again. We'll see some revenge matchups coming up. We'll see teams trying to get back the losses that they had in the first 3 weeks, and I cannot wait for it. It's the push for playoffs in the Quackin' Smite League, and it's gonna be just so great. But week 8 is up next. So for my co-hosts, Rektalplasm, Red Sniper 23, TheKingCooter, I'm Bonzaijoe. Thank you for joining your ragtag group here on the QSL Update podcast, and we'll see you next week.